want to say about this bird, when it got finished, I actually had a wing out here. I had made a wing, and it was almost as, I guess, as if it were going to take off, and this wing here wasn't in there. And what I had is I had this, and what I want to show you is that you could have something like this and you could be kind of thinking, I'm not sure if I kind of like that like it is or not. And I felt like it just stuck out too far. It just didn't make sense to me. So I pulled it down to here and I erased it back. I erased it out, and I want to show you, I'm using a 9B pencil here, and I want to show you how I can just put that in or take it out. So I put it in to show that to you, and it really doesn't matter if you have a few straggler type marks and so forth on this drawing. And of course, we always, if we like this and we wanted to make a bird really perfect, we could take, not that you want to go perfect, okay, forget that. But if we wanted to do the bird again, we could take a piece of tracing paper and put the tracing paper over the bird, and then I could just with an outline, because remember the outline is the hardest thing to get, but in this way we're not starting with an outline, we're starting with a blob. So I want to start with a blob again, and I want to go over something for you that may be useful to you, because one of the things that happens to all of us with everything is that we are trying something for the first time or the third time, if we're lucky, we're still doing it. And the whole time when we're just absolutely novices, we're just like babies, we just are thinking, this isn't for me. Okay, I'm not good at this yet, And I'm always telling my students, look, really, come on. Like if you were a baby, and you were a baby, okay? So remember back, and hopefully this was a positive experience for you, you wanted to learn how to roll over. You wanted to learn how to walk. You wanted to learn how to talk. It was just natural for you, just like it's natural for a bird to learn how to fly. It was just natural for you to want to learn how to walk. And your parents, that's one thing you never got criticized on. That, riding a bike, if you were fortunate enough to get to have a bike and ride a bike and so forth, there was all this encouragement along the way, and there wasn't all of this naysaying and saying like, oh wow, I don't think he's ever going to be able to ride a bike, or I don't think she's ever going to be able to ride a bike, or I don't think they're ever going to be able to ride a bike, because it's just not in it. I don't think it, the father doesn't ride the bike that well, the mother doesn't ride the bike that well, we know we adopted this kid from somebody that doesn't ride a bike well, and we just think it's hopeless. That doesn't happen in that. But in art, it happens. In art, people it's just, it's so much like wearing your heart on your sleeve, and we usually start making art, unfortunately, at kind of a late time in life, like 3 or something like that. And sometimes there's people around who already make art like super awesome, and we don't make art super awesome. So here, what I'm drawing right now is either a mushroom or a lamp, okay? And it just kind of came out, but I wanted to start to talk to you, and I'm just thinking with my pencil while I'm speaking with you. So I've made this lamp here, and I want to continue to just say that when you start something, don't judge it. Don't judge it. And one thing that can happen with this idea of scribble till you see it is that you're thinking you're the 1/2 of 1% of every person in the world, which means there's 2 of you, that are not going to be able to see anything. Like, oh, I scribbled and nothing ever happened. Well, one of the things you can do if you scribble and you don't see anything in your cloud, like nothing seems to come out of your cloud, you can just keep scribbling, because in the act of scribbling, you're going to tune into a different space. You're going to find something that you won't be able to feel it. You might feel it because you're calm, and you could just keep scribbling, and you could even switch up to like yellow colored pencils, and then you could switch to another color pencil. Now with the colored pencils, although there's some now that do this, you're not going to be able to, with the colored pencils, you're not going to be able to erase back unless you buy colored pencils that are erasable. But you can do this with just the regular pencil, or you can switch to colored pencils and just keep scribbling. That's the whole idea, because as you're scribbling, you are building the neurological basis for being able to go in any direction with your pencil. And because of that, you're also going to be able to go any direction with your mind, any direction with your creativity. And of course, again, what creativity? I'm in the lower percentile of creative people on the planet, and yeah, sure, I make dinner all the time, and but I always use recipes. Well, that's great, because we've got recipes for you right here in this drawing book, but we always learn from making food from recipes. We always learn that, and here in Draw Here Now, you can learn to make things from the recipes, and the recipes start with scribbling. So I'm having a blob. And now, just kind of like with the lamp, where I added a stem to the lamp, I had a blob and I added a stem, and this became a lamp. Now I have a blob and this is becoming a stem, and I could pretend that this is a flower, or a rose or something like that. It is definitely the beginnings of something like that. And as things get more clear to you when you add a stem to it, then you can start to experiment, and maybe now you're not only doing blobs, you're doing blobs that are from your imagination as you begin to flesh out what you're doing. So this is the idea here. But again, if you never see anything and you want to quit, my idea here is please don't. You wanted to learn how to draw, and this will take you there. It's making everything you need is starting to happen for you by doing this. And I haven't even been using my eraser on this. I'm just playing around, and the more I draw without criticizing myself, then the more will come to me. And that's the same in life. The more that you have an attitude like you're creating, even if you think you can't create, that something's going to happen, it is going to happen out of your attitude and out of what you can see. Now I've made a flower that has two very different kind of leaves, but what has happened here? I have thought about, not in the regular thinking, in the visual thinking, I have just felt my way through this. So if your blob just keeps taking off and getting bigger and bigger all the time, and you're not sure what to do with your blob, and it just seems like it's going to be a big ball of nothing, and you're going to fail and all this kind of stuff, then just keep drawing. All right, that's the idea, is just keep drawing. And be sure when you're drawing to change up, and I did a lot of scribbly here, and that's okay. Just when you do that, then just kind of change your direction sometimes, and maybe make some straight lines, some curved lines. If that's a hard thing to do, then make some stars. Most of us got raised on making stars. I'm making stars in this, and see, you're not even going to see the stars in this right now. That's just going to add more structure to it and some more tone, and making the tone darker all the time. Another idea is, if you're making your blob, maybe you're going to be even a little more open in your scribbling. I tend to just stay in that one space until something seems to happen. But let's just say I just make a blob, and I'm making a blob, and I'm just wondering what's going to happen. I had one student that got kind of mad because she just was like, I'm making this, I'm doing this, and nothing's happening. Well, if nothing's happening, I'm going to suggest that you, at some point, you make sort of an executive decision and you don't worry about it, and maybe you just start to make a place in it that has two darker places. And as soon as you do that on any blob, you immediately start to have what? You immediately start to see something. Because as soon as we see the whites of eyes, or the darkness of eyes, or eyes peering out of the dark, that's when we begin to see a face. And that's totally awesome. If you want to come down here and then just kind of make a, take it down and maybe make a neck or something like that, and then I want you to have some fun with it too, because I don't want you to be trying to make something good. You might get pretty excited as soon as you make something that has two eyes, and don't worry about the nose, and you don't need to start, but you can, you know, outlining things and making things happen. I'm just going to make the middle of the mouth right there, just the middle of the mouth. So you can see that when you make things darker, things happen. But then let's be fun. Let's have some fun and put some big ears on this person, or some horns or something like that. But I'm thinking this is going to be something that's going to be in the neighborhood of, and you see how I'm just scribbling this, something that's going to be like a palm frond, a feather, you know, you can, and then all of a sudden your imagination says, oh, a feather. What about a feather in a cap? Oh, then maybe I can have a cap for this. This person can have, or bangs or something like that. Or you don't know what it is. Maybe you will stick some ears on it. Maybe you're going to make it really funny and make really, you know, big fluffy ears. I was starting to make ears that would be that of a rabbit, and now I'm going to make ears that would be some other kind of ears, and maybe even kind of alien ears, like the ears that have points on them, pointy ears. So here now I'm making pointy ears. And you can do this too. So here we added 2 eyes. We added eyes, and you can even play more with it. Now I'm adding some goggles or some glasses to it. And so you can keep going with it. You don't have to stop. If you want to stop at a certain point and be able to see what it looks like, then just take out your camera, but it will stop your flow for a bit. But it's still fun to photograph it and then keep going. And if you do that, then you can post your own video of you drawing something on there. So I want to show you another blob. Let's say I got a blob going, and then I just want it to find out when in the world I'm going to see this thing that this gal says I can see. When is that going to happen for me? Well, you know, make 3 blobs. Make 3 blobs if you want. I'm doing this right now in the winter, and this not what I'm thinking I'm going to make. So, but I'm going to suggest to you, if you stack 3 blobs, you might be getting pretty close to some kind of a figure. Maybe one without legs. Now, if this one was we're going to have legs, you probably think I can't do legs, and I even think sometimes I can't do legs. But what if we put a couple of legs here, and all of a sudden we have somebody sitting in lotus position? We have somebody who has arms now, and the arms, shoulder arms, come around, and maybe this is like this. And I wasn't going to do this. I was just going to stack up 3 blobs, and actually, to be really quite honest with it, I was going to make a snowman. But now I'm making a meditating bear. Okay, because it's got little bear ears up here and a little bear ears here, and just scribbling. It's kind of got a pig nose too. So what I wanted to say is, whenever you get a blob going, then you can always, you know, think, where's my thing? I don't know what it is. So, you know, if you want, we always like to make hearts. Just end up adding the sides of a heart to it, and make mini hearts. Hearts are fun. You know, you're going to come down here, and again, I'm not outlining it. I'm just building it out of scribbling. So I've got this thing. But if I wanted to take this thing further, then I could add like a head to it. You know, what if this became shoulders and this became a head? Make sure you can see this. Make a head. And again, I'm adding a blob to a blob, and just making some hands go out, just arms go out. This is definitely something that in blob land you can do. If I were drawing this out and trying to outline it and make it out of my imagination, it wouldn't come. But this is like a link to your imagination. This is saying, you know what, imagination, visual imagination, I'm going to start giving you a pencil, all right? But we're not going to try to make these elaborate things that I've concocted in my mind for all this time that I couldn't draw. I meet people all the time that have such elaborate images, way more elaborate than anything I have in my mind, because they've stacked up over time and they've refined them in their mind's eye, and then they want to go to draw them. Well, this is the link to drawing them. No, it's not going to happen in a day, but it could happen over time. And you could, this would be a way to get into some serious drawing. But if you start to evaluate who you are as a drawer too soon, you know, there's nothing but hardship that can come from that. So you don't want to do that. You want to just have fun with this and play with it. So when you get a blob and your blob won't move out of cloud-like blob, then add some arms to it. Just add some arms to it. You know, make what otherwise might be known as a stick figure. You know, just, okay, now I got a head. Now I have a leg and a foot, and I got another leg, and I got another foot. And then this could turn into like an awesome monster. It can have hands. It doesn't have to have fingers. You don't stop yourself. That's the whole idea here, is don't stop yourself with, oh my gosh, but then if I had an arm, I'd have to have a hand. If I had a leg, I'd have to have a foot. Just keep blobbing, but you can add a lot of things. I have a whole list that I had made up about adding arms to eggs and legs to things, and you know, the person can end up holding a sign. They can hold a lollipop, they can hold a sign, they can have a ponytail, they can have horns. Anything can happen, and this is really firing up your imagination and linking your image making to your hand that can press something out that is yours. And you know, you may be horrified and say, oh my gosh, if anybody saw me draw like this. But what we find out is when I send my very beginning drawers out, like to coffee shops and places to draw, people walk by their table like in awe. Like, and these are beginning students, and these aren't beginning like students that have so much talent and they just, everything they do is always great. These are people who are beginning like you, who are just starting out, and people have so much respect for people who have the courage to draw and just to draw as they can. Here's a Viking with a lollipop, and now up here I see a heart in the lollipop. All right, I'm going to add some eyes. I'm going to add a nose, and you see I'm just scribbling all of this. So I want you to have some fun and know that whenever you're doing a blob, you can always reach out, or it can stay a blob. So have fun with your blobbing, have fun with your drawing, and know that it's going to lead to you being able to make any kind of drawing you want in some time. Undetermined. But if you like this and you like how this makes you feel, then keep doing it, because it's very worthwhile. Going by feel, going by feel.